You'll notice that I've got Blackboard already up and running. I just haven't logged into it yet. We're going to see that we're going to need to do that in just a couple of seconds. All right, first, I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to start the SoftChalk program, the SoftChalk 7 program. So I'll just point to that and double-click on it to start it or to open it, because our goal today is to see how we can take the content that we've already created, and then we want to place it into Blackboard. Now, there are two basic methods that we can take our content and place it into Blackboard. We can make it scored content, which means it's going to go into the Blackboard gradebook automatically, or we can make it just a review lesson where the score does not go into the gradebook. I'm going to maximize my window here, and I guess I should probably open a recent lesson so I can put something there. So I'm going to select this Andrew Jackson lesson. There it is. Now, what I want to notice is, and I'm going to preview this just so I get an idea of what it's going to look like, and then I also need to know how many points are necessary for this particular lesson. I'm not sure why it's doing that. That's a little bit weird. So let me turn that part off. I'll come back into SoftChalk Create. And I'm going to package the lesson. And I see why. Okay, that's why. Great. Now I'll just do it this way. I'll come back and explain this this packaging option. So once again, let me preview this just so I can see what it's going to look like. And the only reason I want to preview is to get a point value, because I may need that in Blackboard itself. So I've got this crossword puzzle available to me. I'm just going to tell it, well, finish it. And now I notice that the points, there's 25 points for this particular lesson. I'm going to remember that because I may need to know it. I'm going to close that browser. I'll then come into the SoftChalk 7 program. Now, before we can take our content and put it into Blackboard, we're actually going to need to create a connection between SoftChalk and Blackboard. Now, we're going to do that by attempting to take our lesson, and we're going to try to publish this into Blackboard. Okay, now, how do we do that? Well, it's a very simple process. All we want to do is choose File from the menu bar, and then from the File menu, I'm going to select Publish Lesson. Now, you'll notice that I already have a Publish To account. This publishing is going to publish my content and put it in the SoftChalk Cloud. Now, that's not what we want to do. We want to put it in Blackboard. When you first come to this Publish Lesson screen, you will have displayed the SoftChalk or the Accounts window, where we now, or what we would like to do, is to create a new account. So I'll click on the New button. This now allows me to choose the type of account I want to create. And you would obviously select Blackboard. We then click OK. Now we're ready to give this a name. And I'm going to call this David's Blackboard Connection. Seems like a good name. This way I know what it's doing exactly. Now what I need to know is my Blackboard server address. Okay. Now, the Blackboard server address can be found by logging into Blackboard. Now, I'm going to go back into my browser. And remember, I've already logged into Blackboard. Well, actually, I haven't. So I'm now going to type in a username and a password, and then I'll log in. Now, if I look at the top left-hand side of my screen here, this will actually show me my Blackboard login address. It's right here. Now, yours is going to look a little different than that. Yours might be bb.barry.edu. Okay, I'm not really sure what your Blackboard address is, but it might be something similar to that. Now, you can see what it would be by going up to the URL once you've logged into Blackboard and look for this thing called Web Apps. Just point to the left of Web Apps and drag all the way to the left. So I'm going to point here, and I'm going to drag all the way to the left so that I've selected my entire address. Then I'm going to right mouse click and copy it. Now, if you know your Blackboard login URL, then you just type that in. I didn't know it, so I've copied it, and now I'm going to paste it. Okay, so I now see my server address. Yours will be different. You may want to check with your Blackboard administrator if you're not sure what it is. Now we need to generate an access code. This access code allows the SoftChalk Create or the SoftChalk program to communicate with Blackboard. Now that access code is found by going into Blackboard. You've already logged in, then enter any course. It doesn't matter which course you use. We then want to look on the left-hand side of the screen, and we're going to look for Course Tools. We click on that, and it displays a whole menu of items. Now, this, what we're going to be looking for is the SoftChalk Publish with Score Center. This is a building block that is installed by your Blackboard administrator. Should already be installed. We then click on that, and it will then give us a different looking screen saying, I'm ready to create your access code. We click on Submit, and then it generates the code. And all you have to do then is select that code. I just started from the right-hand side and drag to the left, and then copy it. I'm going to right mouse click on that selected code and copy. I could also do a Control-C to copy it. Now I've got the code that I need. So I'm going to come back into my SoftChalk task, and I'm going to paste that code. And then I click OK. I've just created my connection to Blackboard. Now let's see if it works. What we're going to do is go into our Publish tab. We'll see our account name. That's what we called our Blackboard connection. We then click on Connect. And what we'll then see out here is a list of all of the courses that we are scheduled to teach in Blackboard. Now let me go back into Blackboard just so I can show that, yes, it's the same list. So I'm going to come back into Blackboard. And for now, I'm just going to log out as me, and then I'll log back in so that we'll see our list of courses we're scheduled to, or that I'm scheduled to teach. And you'll notice that this list is identical to the list that I see here in the SoftChalk Create program. So we've now created our connection between SoftChalk and Blackboard. Now, it's important to realize that we do this only one time. We do it for Blackboard and for the computer we're currently sitting in front of. We don't do it for each course. We create our connection once for the computer. Now, once we have that connection, then we can take the content and place it into Blackboard. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, I've got my lesson, my Andrew Jackson lesson, that I would like to put into my American History course. So I'm just going to expand that folder by clicking on the plus sign. I'm going to put it in my content folder. And as a matter of fact, what I've decided to do is I want to create another folder so I can put all of my lessons dealing with the presidents. So at this location, I'm going to create a new folder, And I'm not doing that through Blackboard. I'm doing it in the SoftChalk Create program. I'll click on New Folder, and I'll call it the Presidents, and I'll click OK. And you'll notice that in a couple of seconds, I'm going to see that Presidents folder. There it is. Now I'm going to select that folder because this is where I want to put my Andrew Jackson lesson that we see in the background here. It tells me, all right, I'm ready to publish it. Do I want to make it just a review lesson, meaning it's not going to be scored, or would I like it scored? If we want it to be a scored lesson in the Blackboard gradebook, we choose Score Center. We then enter the name. Notice its name is whatever title we had in our lesson, Andrew Jackson. And then we choose the number of attempts we want our students to have for this lesson. It can be unlimited or a number from 1 through 10. I'm going to let it be unlimited. Then, since my students can access this lesson more than one time, we now have a decision to make. Which score should actually go into the gradebook? Should it be their first attempt, or should it be their last attempt? We've called it most recent. That's the same as last attempt. Or would you like it to be an average of all of their scores? Or if you're really in a good mood, make it their highest score. Regardless of which attempt it is, their highest score goes into the gradebook. That's what I'm going to choose. I'm going to have this launch in the same Blackboard window or as when I'm looking at Blackboard. So I'll just launch it in a regular window, not a new one, but I can change that. And then I want to make it visible right now. I'll then click on Publish, and it's now taking my content, and it is publishing it into Blackboard. In a few seconds, we'll see that lesson appear in our Presidents folder. There it is. It's that simple. Now I'm going to click on Close. I'm going to minimize my Create Program window, and I'm back into Blackboard. Now let's go into the American History course. Remember, I'm still the instructor here. I'll then go into my content folder, because that's where I placed it. And remember, we created a folder called Presidents. So I'm going to open that folder, and I see the Andrew Jackson lesson. It's now ready for my students to use. If I go into the Grade Center and look at the full Grade Center in Blackboard, I'll see that Andrew Jackson is there ready for my students to access the content. It was that easy to take our content and put it into Blackboard. Now I'm going to back up. I'm going to go back into my content folder. And actually right now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to log out as me, the instructor, and I'm now going to become a student. So I'll log in as a student. I'm then going to go into the American History course. I'll go into the content folder, and then inside of the Presidents folder. This shows me a Score Center lesson. Now, when the students click on this, it's then going to start the lesson and do actually a little bit more than just starting the lesson, as we'll see. It says it's connected to the SoftChalk Score Center. It's reminding the students when they finish, they must click on the Finish button on the last page. All right, so I'll continue this, and I'm now ready to score some points. So I'm looking for, let's see, there's my quiz question. This treaty ended the War of 1812. That's number 4 down. So I've clicked on the question, then I see where the answer should go, and I'll then type in, let's see, G-H-E-N-T. I'll try that. And if I've typed it in correctly, it changes the background's color, and I've now scored some points. Now, I can continue to type in answers or fill in this crossword puzzle. When I fill it all in, it will then show me the points that I've earned. If I decide I don't want to go any further, I'll just click on Finish here. And I've now scored 1.7 out of 25 points. I'm going to scroll down and see what other scoring opportunities there are. Well, here we have an activity. This is a drag and drop activity. Which founding father attended the College of William and Mary? Well, that was Jefferson. So I'm going to take this and drag it and drop it. I've now scored some points. The bill of what? Now, I guess that would be rights. Number of days to write the first draft. And I think that's got to be 3 since it's the only number. This is obviously a very poorly designed quiz. And this is the reading of the Declaration of Independence, or let's see, first public reading of, and that's the Declaration of Independence. The Lone Star State, I know that that's Texas, and the program that we're using, and then the city where the Continental Congress met. So I've now scored all of those points, and notice how my score has now increased to 11.7. All right, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the lesson. I just don't want to do any more, and I'm going to click on Finish. That score has now been submitted to the Score Center. Now, let me log out as your pick and come back in as the instructor, because I want to see how he has done. So I'm going to log in as the instructor again in that particular American history course. I'll then enter that course. And I now want to go to the grade center. I'll go into the full grade center. And what this is going to show me is the 11.7 score that Pitt got for the Andrew Jackson lesson. Now, I'm going to click on this, and I want to look at this particular attempt. So I'm going to select the attempt that was made. What this is now going to display is the Soft Chalk Score Center, where we now can see the number of points that they have earned on all of the quizzes and activities. Well, I noticed that for this quiz group, he didn't even attempt any of the questions. If he would have attempted them, I would have been able to see what his answers were. I do also notice that he only scored 1.7 out of the 10 points of the crossword. So basically, it tells me he gave up. And then in my drag and drop activity, he scored all 10 points. If I would have had an essay question involved in this quiz question or in this lesson, then I could read the essay in this area. I would then click on Change Score for the attempt, and I could then type in the new score value. So I'm going to say there was an essay, and it was worth 5 points. And I will then give him an additional 3 points for the essay. So his new score is 14.7, and this is because added points for the essay. And I'll submit that. It's now updating his score. Let me go back into the grade center. Now, when I go back to the grade center, you'll notice that his score is now the 14.7 because we read the essay and we gave him the points that he earned for it. That's the way the Score Center works with Blackboard and the Blackboard Gradebook. Pretty cool. Now, that was using Soft Chalk version 7. You will be upgrading to version 8 in just a couple of months. So let me show you a different process for creating that connection between Blackboard and SoftChalk. I'm going to minimize this window for now, or actually I'll just go back into the American History course, and I'm going to minimize my window. I'm then going to just take this particular program, version 7, I'm just going to close it, and let me start SoftChalk Create version 8. So I'll just double-click on that to start it. This is our newest desktop version, and the way we would create that publish account is a little different. I'll close this. I'm going to open another lesson, so let me maximize this. And I'm going to be opening a James Monroe lesson. I then would like to see how many points this is worth, so I'll again preview this. And I'll choose one of the questions. I'll check and answer. This is worth 20 points. I just need to remember that. I'll close that browser. Back into the SoftChalk Create program. Now, how do we create a connection between Blackboard and SoftChalk Desktop version 8? Well, in this case, rather than publishing the lesson, all we need to do, or what we will do, is we're going to choose File from the menu bar, and we're going to select Manage Publish Accounts. If you've already created your account in version 7, it automatically will appear in version 8. Now, if you haven't created it in version 8 or in the version 7 of the SoftChalk program, then what you would need to do is to create it in the version 8 program. Now let's see how we would do that. So I'm going to manage my publish accounts, and I'm just going to delete everything that's here, so it will look just like it might when you first start the SoftChalk Create program. We go to File, we manage our publish accounts. I then click on New. I choose Blackboard. The only difference is the method that we get here. In version 7 of our desktop, we went to File and we select Publish. This time we go to File and we choose Manage Publish Accounts. We're ready to give this a name. And then type in our server address once again. Remember, that server address can be found right up here on our URL line. We just start from to the left of the word web apps and drag for all the way to the left of that line, and then copy. Then come back into the Create program, paste, click on the access code. Once again, we go into Blackboard, choose any course. We're already in a course, so we then go into our course tools and select SoftChalk Publish with Score Center. We then click on Submit. We select that code, copy it, come back into the Create program, and paste. Then we click OK, and we've made our connection. Now I'm going to click on Close. How do I take this lesson and put it into Blackboard? I go to File, and I select Save to the LMS. I've connected to my Blackboard account, and I once again see all of my courses. I'm still going to put it inside of American History and Content, and I'm going to put it in the President's folder. This time, I don't want it to be scored, so I just choose Zip. I'm not going to launch it in a new window. It'll stay within Blackboard, and I want to make it available now. So I click on Save, and we've now taken our content And in a few seconds, we're going to see that it has now been uploaded into Blackboard. Great. I'll click OK. It's now in Blackboard. Notice the big L. When I click on Close, and I'm now going to just start a brand new lesson, and I'm going to go into Blackboard. Let me go back up into my course content area for American History. I'll look inside of the President's folder, and we're now going to see two content items, one connected to the gradebook, SCL, and one just for information, the L. And that's all it takes to take our content and put it into Blackboard. Now, another feature that we have, and this will be with SoftChalk version 8, suppose you find a typo in your lesson. Well, what you would then do, and for some reason you've lost the lesson on your desktop. That's what we're going to assume. That I can't find my James Monroe lesson. It's in Blackboard, but I don't remember, or I can't find it anywhere on my computer. Well, what we can do is go to File, and we can open this from the Learning from Blackboard. We're still using our Blackboard account. We just go into the course that contains the content that we need to edit, James Monroe, and we open it. And this will take that lesson that was in Blackboard, or that's still in Blackboard, and we can now make changes to it. I'm going to change the style of the lesson. Remember, that's done by going to Properties and then Style Properties. I think the name is great. I'm going to have it display a Table of Contents page and a drop-down menu at the top of the page. And it is created using SoftChalk. I'll then go into my styles, and I'm going to change the look of the lesson. I'm going to make it this Penn's banner. So we really get a completely different look for our lesson. I'll scroll down and see the other content that's here. Okay, pretty good. What I might also like to do, well, I've got a hyperlink for the College of William and Mary. I wonder if that still works. So I'm going to preview this. I'll save my changes. And I'm going to see if my link still works. I'm going to do something special with that hyperlink. So it's saving my changes, and it's saving it now locally on the computer I'm sitting in front of. Now it's been saved, and now I'm able to preview it. I'll go to his early life. I'll point to that link and click. And it then, whoops, that's the, it's a different website now. I clicked on that. And I can't find the William and Mary website. So I'm going to do a Google search. I think they've changed their web address. And wm.edu. All right, well, I'll select that and copy it. Now I'm going to come back into my lesson. I'll close these two sites. And I want to modify this link. And I'll click OK. Now let's see if it works. So I'll save my changes. I do know that I have to keep checking any hyperlinks I put into a lesson just to make sure that they're current active links. Sometimes they change locations. I'm going to go to early life. I'll click on this. And now it opened up the William and Mary website. All right, well, I've decided to go one step further with this website. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to make the website display directly in the lesson. You'll remember that can be done by inserting an iframe. We then type in the URL that we want to have it display. We can put in the dimensions, height and width, and then click OK. Now I'm going to preview this one more time. I'll save my changes. I want to make sure this is going to work, and then we're going to place this back into Blackboard. Those were the changes that I wanted to make. And it doesn't like this very much. Okay. So I'll close that, come back into the SoftChalk Create. I'll modify this iframe. Some websites just do not display within a iframe window. This may now be one of them. I'll click OK. Now, let's take our lesson, and now let's put it back into Blackboard. I'll choose File. I'm going to save to the LMS. I'm still going to call it James Monroe. Now, if I select this original James Monroe lesson and I click on Save, it's going to replace it. OK. And it is now replacing the old version with the newer version of my lesson. It's now been published. I did have to click on that, because if I just selected the president and I told it to save, then it would put this name there twice in the list. So I had to select the original name and have it replaced. I'll close this, come back into the browser window, and now when I click on James Monroe, we're going to see it pretty much the way the students would. Notice the different look is already there. And that is how we can take our content from SoftChalk and place it into Blackboard. It is that simple. All right, do we have any questions? And I'm going to unmute microphone, so if you'd like to, you can use your microphone and ask whatever questions you would like, or you can use the question and answer dialog window.
No questions? No questions on our side.